The afternoon sun scorched the old highway, turning the air into waves of silver heat. Cars flew past without a glance, dust swirling in their wake. But one car slowed down. Inside was Dr. Elena Ruiz, a weary physician driving home after another long day at her clinic. She almost didn't stop. The pair on the roadside could have been anyone, beggars, travelers, someone else's problem. Yet something about them made her heart ache. Two frail figures sat beneath a lamp post, clutching a battered suitcase and a fabric bag. The old woman's floral dress fluttered weakly in the hot wind. The man's straw hat shaded eyes filled with quiet defeat. Elena stepped out. "Are you all right?" she asked softly. The woman lifted her head. Her eyes, red and swollen from tears, met Elena's with silent desperation. "Our children left us here," she whispered. "They said they'd come back. It's been hours." Elena froze. Beside her, the man spoke, voice cracked, gentle and broken. "Don't trouble yourself, miss. They'll come back. Or maybe they won't. We're just burdens now." Something inside Elena shattered. She had seen sickness, pain, and death, but this was abandonment, pure and merciless. She knelt down, taking the woman's trembling hand. "You're not a burden," she said, "and you're not staying here another second." Within minutes, she helped them into her car. The woman, Rosa, clutched her bag like it carried her soul. The man, Miguel, held onto the old suitcase as if guarding a secret. In his shirt pocket, a yellowed envelope peeked out, worn, creased, protected like treasure. As the car sped down the highway, Elena glanced at them through the mirror. Rosa whispered prayers under her breath. Miguel stared out the window, silent tears rolling down his cheeks. She didn't know yet that this simple act, a stop on the road, would change her entire life. By the time they reached the hospital, Rosa was faint from dehydration. Nurses rushed her inside. Miguel refused to let go of that suitcase. When Elena asked what happened, his voice trembled. "They told us they'd take us to a home by the countryside, but they stopped near the bridge and drove away. We waited. The sun burned." Rosa cried. His voice broke. "I realized they never meant to come back." Elena felt her chest tighten with rage and sorrow. How could children abandon the very people who gave them life? That night, as the old couple rested in hospital beds, Elena promised herself something. Those two would never be alone again. And deep inside, something unseen, something destined, began to awaken. Rain fell softly the next morning, washing the dust from the trees outside Dr. Elena's small countryside home. She had prepared a warm breakfast before leaving the hospital. Something deep in her spirit told her she couldn't let Rosa and Miguel go back to an empty life. When she arrived, Rosa was sitting up, her thin hands folded neatly on the blanket. Miguel was by the window, staring out into the gray drizzle. "Doctor," Rosa said weakly, "we're better now. Don't worry about us. Our children, they'll realize what they've done." But her voice betrayed a quiet lie. Even hope sounded tired in her throat. Elena placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "I have a guest room," she said simply. "Stay until you decide what's next." Miguel turned. His eyes widened. "We can't trouble you, doctor." "It's no trouble," she replied. "You've been through enough." And just like that, the door of Elena's life opened wider than ever before. The first days in Elena's house were quiet. Rosa tried to sweep the kitchen floors when no one was watching. Miguel watered the garden, though his hands trembled. Elena would come home from work to find fresh soup simmering on the stove, the faint hum of an old Spanish lullaby echoing from the porch. The small, lonely house began to feel alive again, laughter creeping through the hallways, the smell of bread and herbs filling every room. Yet, not everything was peace. Some nights, Elena would wake to the sound of Rosa crying softly. Miguel would sit in silence, staring at the battered suitcase resting near his feet. He never opened it. Not once. One evening, Elena couldn't hold back her curiosity. "Miguel," she asked gently, "why do you always keep that suitcase with you?" He smiled faintly, brushing the leather surface as if it were a memory. "It's everything we have left," he said. "Everything that mattered." She noticed his eyes glimmer, not with fear, but with something deeper. Regret. Maybe even love. Weeks passed, and word began to spread around the small town. People whispered about the doctor who had taken in two abandoned elders. Some praised her. Others called her foolish. But Elena didn't care. Each evening, she'd return home and find Rosa on the porch, telling stories about the past, about their old vineyard, their children's laughter, the home that used to ring with songs. Then one night, as thunder rolled in the distance, Miguel fell ill. His breathing grew shallow, his skin cold. Elena rushed to his bedside, panic tearing through her calm. "Stay with me," she whispered. He opened his eyes, faintly smiling. "You remind me of our daughter," he said. "She left long ago. You have her kindness." Tears blurred Elena's vision. "Rest now. You're safe." But Miguel's trembling hand reached for the suitcase again, pulling it closer, his final gesture of love and mystery. And as lightning flashed through the window, Elena caught a glimpse of something. A small golden key tied to the suitcase handle. A key that would soon unlock more than she could ever imagine. The next morning arrived heavy with silence. The rain had stopped, but the world outside felt still, as if holding its breath. Miguel had not woken. His chest rose and fell slowly, like the final whispers of a life well lived. Elena sat beside him, exhausted, watching the sunlight creep across the floor. Rosa dozed in a chair by the window, clutching her rosary, her face pale with worry. And then, Miguel exhaled one last time. A gentle sigh, so quiet it could have been mistaken for sleep. Rosa's rosary slipped from her hand and clattered on the floor. "No," she whispered. "No, Miguel, not yet." Elena reached out, tears welling in her eyes. She had lost patience before, but never someone who had filled her house with such peace, such warmth. When the undertakers came, Rosa refused to let go of the suitcase. But Miguel's last words lingered in Elena's mind. "You have her kindness." Later that night, after Rosa had finally fallen asleep, Elena walked quietly to the living room. The suitcase sat there, old, cracked, heavy with time. The golden key still dangled from the handle. She hesitated, her fingers trembling. What right did she have to open it? And yet, a voice within her whispered, "He wanted you to." She turned the key. The lock clicked open with a soft metallic sigh, and inside was something she did not expect. Bundles of letters, yellowed with age. Photographs of a young couple beside a grand vineyard. Legal documents stamped with seals. And at the bottom, a sealed envelope addressed to Dr. Elena Ruiz. Her heart raced. She tore it open. The handwriting was shaky, but full of grace. "If you are reading this, Elena, then I am gone. Rosa and I had little faith left in humanity until the day you stopped your car. You reminded us what true kindness feels like, what it means to be seen. Inside this suitcase is the deed to our vineyard, our life's work. We left it to our children, but they turned away long ago. Now, we leave it to you, not because of blood, but because of heart. Promise me you'll take care of Rosa. She is all I have ever loved." Elena covered her mouth, the letter trembling in her hands. Tears streamed down her face, falling onto the paper. The inheritance, it wasn't just money or land. It was trust. It was legacy. It was love transferred from one soul to another. When Rosa woke the next morning, she found Elena sitting by the suitcase, still crying softly. "Rosa," she whispered, "he left it all to us." Rosa's lips quivered. She reached out, touching Elena's face. "Then he chose right," she said, "because you were the daughter we should have had." Outside, the dawn broke golden and quiet. For the first time in years, light filled their home, not from the sun, but from a love reborn through loss. Weeks passed, and Rosa grew stronger under Elena's care. The old house had changed. The air smelled of rosemary and hope. Mornings began with birdsong and soft laughter. Even Miguel's favorite chair, empty now, seemed to hum with quiet peace. But peace never lasts forever. One bright afternoon, a black luxury car pulled into the driveway. Two sharply dressed strangers stepped out, a man and a woman, both in their 40s, both wearing the same cold look Elena had seen in the hospital hallways, pride mixed with guilt. "Good afternoon," Elena said, stepping outside. The woman's voice was smooth but brittle. "We're looking for our parents, Rosa and Miguel Navarro. They used to live at the old vineyard." Elena froze. So these were the children, the ones who had left their parents by the road. "They're here," she said quietly. "Rosa is resting. Miguel passed away." The woman's expression barely changed. Only her eyes flickered for a moment, as if remembering something unpleasant. "Oh," she murmured. "Well, we need to discuss his estate." Elena felt anger coil inside her chest. His estate. The man spoke this time, impatient. Yes, the vineyard, the house, the money. Our father promised we'd inherit everything. We just need the papers. Rosa appeared at the doorway, wrapped in a shawl. Her voice, fragile yet firm, sliced through the tension. The papers are gone, she said. Miguel left them to someone who deserved them. The siblings turned. Their practiced smiles faltered. What do you mean, gone? The woman demanded. You can't just give away family property. Rosa's eyes filled with quiet fire. Family, she repeated softly. You left us on the side of the road like strangers. You stopped being family that day. The son's jaw tightened. You were a burden, Mama. We had our own lives. But Rosa raised a trembling hand. Enough. You will not speak of love as if you understand it. Behind her, Elena stepped forward, holding the letter Miguel had written. Your father left a will, she said, voice steady. It names me as the caretaker of Rosa and the vineyard. Everything else is sealed by law. The woman laughed bitterly. You? You're just a doctor who took pity on them. Yes, Elena said softly. And that's exactly why he trusted me. For a long, tense moment, the air was heavy. Then Rosa spoke again, tears glistening in her eyes. Go, she whispered. Take your luxury, your pride, your emptiness. My husband left me with something you'll never have. Peace. The siblings stood frozen. Then, without another word, they turned and left, the car's engine roaring like thunder in the distance. As the dust settled, Rosa sank into Elena's arms, shaking but relieved. I never thought I'd have the strength to face them, she murmured. Elena smiled through her tears. You didn't face them alone. Outside, the clouds began to break apart, sunlight pouring over the garden Miguel once tended. It felt as if, somewhere above, he was smiling too. Months passed, and time moved gently through the little house. Rosa no longer wept when she looked at Miguel's chair. Instead, she spoke to it every morning, softly, lovingly, as though her husband were still there, listening. Elena had done more than care for her. She had rebuilt her world. Together, they returned to the old vineyard that Miguel had left behind. The once dry vines were overgrown and lifeless, the soil cracked by years of neglect. But Elena rolled up her sleeves and began to work, day after day, turning the earth, watering the roots, planting new hope in every corner. Neighbors who once whispered about her now came to help. The vineyard became a living story of kindness, how one small act on a lonely road had sparked a miracle. One evening, Rosa stood by the field, the wind combing through her gray hair, her wrinkled hands tracing the vines like the faces of old friends. Miguel would be proud, she said softly. Elena smiled. He's here. Every time the sun rises over this place, he's here. Rosa nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. And when I'm gone, promise me you'll keep it alive. Let this land remind people that love doesn't die. It just changes form. Weeks later, Rosa's health began to fade. The mornings grew quieter, her steps slower. Yet she always asked for one thing, to sit on the porch, facing the vineyard, as the lights spilled across the hills. One dawn, Elena found her there, peaceful, smiling toward the sunrise, her rosary resting in her lap, her eyes closed forever. A soft wind blew through the vines, and the scent of roses filled the air. It felt like Miguel had come back for her. Elena fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. Grief and gratitude tangled in her heart. But she didn't cry alone. The neighbors came, hands filled with flowers. People from the town brought candles. Someone whispered, she wasn't just Rosa Navarro, she was the soul of this valley. And in that moment, Elena understood. She hadn't lost Rosa or Miguel. She had inherited their love. Years later, a sign stood proudly at the vineyard's gate. Vina de la Luz, the Vineyard of Light. Below it, a smaller plaque read, in memory of Rosa and Miguel Navarro, and the kindness that saved us all. Elena would often welcome visitors, telling them how it all began, a roadside stop, a dusty suitcase, a choice to care. And as the golden sun set behind the hills, she would whisper into the breeze, I stopped for them that day, but they're the ones who saved me. The vines swayed, whispering like voices from heaven, gentle, eternal. The story of a doctor who found two abandoned souls had become a legend of love, a promise that compassion can turn even the darkest road into light.